Okay, great. Again, my name is Dr. Kirsten Kung. I'm the interim coordinator for the Faculty Mentor Program. And this information session is designed to give people a sense of what the program is about and to answer some of the most common questions that students have about the program. At the end, there will be time for questions, and I'm also available for meetings or via email if you have any specific questions that might be unique to your situation. The Faculty Mentor Program is one of the programs that's part of the Undergraduate Research Hub, or URH, and our mission is to essentially empower students to get involved with research. There's a lot of different ways that undergraduates can get involved with research, and we want to make sure that we facilitate that because we know that although there's a lot of opportunities at UC San Diego, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to figure out how to find them or how to navigate them. So the Faculty Mentor Program is an opportunity for students to conduct research with a UC San Diego faculty member. You earn either 99 or 199 independent study credit. It's designed to build research skills, and we like to provide assistance at every step of the way, including helping you find and establish a connection with mentors, and then learning how to do research, providing information about writing skills, exploring postgraduate career paths through workshops and seminars and things along those lines. The eligibility, the program is open to all majors. That includes students who are transfer, international, undocumented students, all are encouraged to apply. You do need to have a minimum GPA of 2.7. If you are right on the border, please contact me and we can kind of assess the situation and see what might make sense. You also do need to be a current UC San Diego undergraduate student while participating in the program. Part-time is okay. And you need to have sophomore standing or above. You also need to commit to two consecutive quarters of the program. The program takes place in winter and spring, so you do need to be planning to do research both winter and spring quarters. And finally, you do need to have a UC San Diego faculty mentor who oversees your project. And we'll talk more about finding a mentor in a little bit. So in terms of first steps, these are the key first steps that you'll need to do. And we'll talk about each one of these in greater depth. Students are responsible for finding their own mentors. You also design your own research project, or you and your mentor collaborate to come up with a research project together. And you sign up for 99 or 199. This is done through the department, not through URH. So it's a separate process. It's not part of what happens when you apply to the Faculty Mentor Program. And again, we'll go through each of these in greater detail. So in terms of finding a mentor, one of the most important things is to go to the Undergraduate Research Hub site, which is urh.ucsd.edu, and there's a section for students. Under the students section, there are a number of drop-down tabs, including one on how to find a mentor. So if you have not already done that, please go ahead and take a look at that section. There's a video there that provides some insight. That's really the best way to get started. What you'll want to do is reach out to faculty members who perhaps are professors from classes that you've taken or that you are currently taking. Graduate TAs are also a great resource because they provide you with information not only about the class that they're TAing, but about other classes and other faculty members in the department. The course catalog and department websites also offer a lot of great resources. So if you go to the department website for your major or for a different major, but something that you're interested in, you'll see that each department website lists the different research going on in those departments, and it lists the professor's individual websites. So you would go to the website, say, of cognitive science, and then under the cognitive science website, it has sections where it discusses the different types of research going on in the cognitive science department. You would look at those research topics, find the one that most closely aligns with what you're interested in, and then you would look at the individual faculty members who are doing research in that area to see which faculty members are the ones who are doing research that's closest to what your interests are. The research experience and applied learning, or REAL portal, is another great opportunity for you to find information about faculty members who are doing research. Note that for the REAL portal, it does list a lot of different opportunities, but not every single opportunity for an undergraduate to do research is listed on the REAL portal. So if you go to the REAL portal and there isn't something that fits with your interests, don't be discouraged. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means it's not on that particular site. Once you've identified a potential mentor, you're going to want to reach out via email. You'll want to keep it professional. I know it's very difficult to kind of cold call, so to speak, a faculty member, but you just need to write a brief email describing who you are, why you're reaching out to them, and what you hope to gain from it. One thing that we do really recommend is that you indicate in this email why you're reaching out to that particular faculty member. So for example, you don't want somebody to feel like, oh, this student is emailing every faculty member who's in biology. You want to indicate, I'm reaching out to you because I noticed that you're doing research on this topic, and that topic is really of great interest to me, and here's why. And so make sure that you personalize the emails a little bit. You don't have to do extensive background research into every faculty member that you're reaching out to. You don't have to read their articles in advance. Typically, if you look at their website, that will give you a sense of the research that they're doing. And you can just include a sentence or two about why you're reaching out to that faculty member in particular. One of the questions that we often get is whether the mentor has to be somebody in your major. And the answer is no. You can do research in your major, but you can also do research in a different department. Sometimes students are double majoring, or they have a major and a minor, or sometimes they just have a major, but they have another interest that isn't the same as their major, but they'd really like to do research in that area. And that's completely fine. You can do research in an area that's not your own major. We'll talk in a little bit about the 199 requirement and how that works if you're doing research with a mentor who is not, in fact, within your department. But again, the primary idea is that when you're trying to find a mentor, you should review the URH website, get a sense of some of the steps necessary that can help you generate ideas of people to reach out to. Once you have an idea of people to reach out to, you email them and let them know that you're interested in doing research, and you let them know that you're planning to do a research program, and ask if they might be interested in meeting with you to talk about whether they could be a mentor for that program. Again, when you reach out, make sure it's professional. Don't say, hey, and don't say, hey, Joe, or hey, Susan. Be sure that you address people properly, either as professor or doctor. Okay. How do I pick a topic? So for the faculty mentor program, sometimes students will be designing their own project, and sometimes they'll be working on a project that the mentor has already established. And either one of those is fine. That depends a bit from field to field, discipline to discipline. And it also depends a little bit from faculty member to faculty member. So there are some faculty members who already have an elaborate research program, and it really makes the most sense for undergraduates who are working with them to work with them on a project that is already underway. In other cases, there may be a situation where the faculty member says, great, let's have you design a project. Do you have a project in mind? And you and the faculty member kind of work together to come up with a project. So if you have a specific project in mind already, that's fantastic. However, you don't have to have a project in mind. If you do have a project in mind, be aware that you might be able to find a faculty member who says, wonderful, we'll go ahead and do this. Let's work on this project together. But they may say, well, I don't really have capacity to take on a new, different project that would be a project that you have already done on your own, but you could join me for this project that I already have underway. And that's fine. Don't feel discouraged by that either. So if you're thinking about either looking for a faculty member who has a project already undergoing that you would like to join, or trying to design your own project, think about topics from classes that you've taken and which topics have been particularly interesting to you. Are there any topics that make you feel excited or particularly passionate or angry? Are there things that you'd like to change or things that you're curious about? Those are all great sources of ways to go about thinking about picking a topic. What do you enjoy spending your time doing? Are there major trends in academia or in politics or industry or the media? What sorts of things, when you think about, I'm going to be spending hours doing research, how can I best do that? Those can help guide you towards coming up with projects that might be of interest. Okay, so this slide basically is designed to give you a sense of research topics that undergraduates have done at UC San Diego. You can see that there's a huge range of things. So things like madness and mothering in Gothic fiction, constitutionality of critical race studies in K through 12 education, cell-based gene editing platform for stem cell biology. Again, at UC San Diego, there are so many faculty doing research in a huge range of areas. So there is research available to you regardless of what your interests are. It's not just STEM fields that have research available. You can do research kind of no matter what your interest areas are. Okay, so how do I sign up for 99-199? There'll be additional slides with the specific steps, but essentially, students in the Faculty Mentor Program enroll in either a 99 course or a 199 course. Those are ways to get academic credit for the research that you're doing, and it's an independent study class. The FMP website has information about 99 and 199 special studies classes, so you definitely want to look there to find out more about it. And you'll want to note that some departments have earlier deadlines than other departments. Most departments, you need to enroll by the second Friday of the quarter. So by the end of week 2, you need to have the enrollment taken care of. Some departments, though, like biological sciences, have much earlier deadlines, so you want to be aware of that. If for some reason you're unable to enroll in an independent study course, contact the FMP coordinator. It is possible to do the FMP program without being enrolled in 99 or 199 if there's a specific reason that you're not able to do it. So for example, in some instances, a student may have already maxed out on their 99 credit or their 199 credit, or there may be other constraints. So in those instances, we basically have the student and the mentor fill out a form indicating that the student won't be earning 99 or 199 credit through the FMP program, but that the expectations are still the same. So it is important, if you're in that situation, to contact the FMP coordinator. The FMP and URH has no control over course enrollment. So if you're having issues with enrolling in an independent study course, we aren't able to waive requirements for that. We're not able to extend deadlines for that. Any of the actual enrollment questions would go through the undergraduate advisor or the department where you are or the department affiliated with your mentor. So again, any of the specific registration for 99 or 199 questions go through the department. If you have a general question about 99 or 199, the program can certainly address that. The slide mentions that the course is typically through the department where your mentor has an appointment. So for example, if you are doing research and you're a psychology major, but your mentor is in cognitive science, typically you would receive 99 or 199 through the cognitive science department. There are some departments that are flexible with that. So for example, with biological sciences, if you are a biological sciences major and you want to get BISP 199, Bio 199, and your mentor is in a different department, if the project that you'll be working on has a sufficiently biological component to it, you can petition the biological sciences department and say, I'd still like to get BISP 199 for this project, even though the mentor doesn't have a biology appointment. And typically, if the project does have a sufficiently relevant biological component to it, that will be granted. For other departments, they have guidelines where you can only receive 99 or 199 within that department if the person who is mentoring you has an appointment within that department. So you'll want to look at the department of interest, and you'll want to look at your major department, determine whether they allow 99 or 199 within that department, even if the instructor of record is not within that department. And if it's the case that they only allow it from somebody within that department and you have a mentor who's outside of that department, you'll want to determine what the implications of that might be. So for a lot of departments, if you take 199 within the department, that might help fulfill some major requirements. And so that's beneficial. For other departments, it doesn't count towards any specific major requirements. So if you take 199 within the department or outside of the department, that doesn't particularly have an impact. So again, you'll want to focus on your major department, and you'll want to determine what the benefits are of getting 99 or 199 within that department. And that can then help guide you in terms of how much you need to find a mentor who's within that department versus somebody who's outside of the department. This is probably one of the areas where we get the most questions. And again, as the FMP interim coordinator, I can certainly address questions or come up with some general guidelines of what to do. But when it comes to specific policies for your major, that will be something that it's best to talk to your own department about. In terms of who can be a mentor, it does need to be somebody who can serve as the official, quote, instructor of record for a 99 or 199 special studies class. So typically these are people with a job title that includes the word professor. So assistant professor, associate professor, full professor, or just professor, sometimes teaching professor. There are other people who can be fantastic mentors, but who are not, don't have the type of position that the university allows to be an official mentor of record. In cases like that, or sorry, an official instructor of record. In cases like that, often students are able to work with, say, a postdoctoral scholar, and that person would be the person doing most of the mentorship, the day-to-day guidance for you. And then the faculty member with whom they work would be the official instructor of record. This is the type of thing also that you can talk with me about. I can help you figure out whether the person that you'd like to work with would be eligible to be an official mentor of record, or whether we would need to find somebody else who could be the mentor of record, even though that other person is doing most of the day-to-day mentoring. It is worth noting that, again, depending on the field that you're in or the discipline that you're in, sometimes undergraduate students work directly with a faculty member, but sometimes the person who's doing most of the training is a postdoctoral scholar or an advanced graduate student or somebody else who's in the research team. So don't be concerned if you feel like, oh, I found this person who's a great mentor. It's a faculty member that I'd really like to work with, but they keep talking about how it's going to be a postdoc who's overseeing the project that I'm on. That's okay. We do want you to have some interaction with the faculty member, but it's not uncommon for most of the mentoring to take place from a postdoc or grad students or somebody like that. Okay, so program benefits. One of the great things about the faculty mentor program is that you can build a valuable professional relationship with a UC San Diego faculty member. So even if you are working primarily with a postdoc or graduate student, you should have some interactions with a faculty member. And this can really be beneficial because it gives you a sense of the work that they're doing. Sometimes the courses that you're in are large and it's hard to get a lot of one-on-one interaction with faculty members. So doing research, whether it's through the faculty mentor program or a different program, really is a great thing to do during your time at UC San Diego. As we mentioned, you get 99 or 199 credit for 2 quarters. essentially the 99 credit will be if you have between 30 or 90 units, and 199 is if you have more than 90 units. That varies a little bit from department to department, so you'll want to follow the guidelines for your department, but that gives you a rough sense of when you would apply for 99 versus 199. The deadline is typically the Friday of week 2, but some departments, notably biology, does have an earlier deadline. On the biology website, it says Friday, December 5th at 4 p.m. This used to be a very, very strict deadline that bio always had this deadline the quarter prior to the quarter in which you want to earn the credit. Now the biology website lists that date as the recommended deadline. So I'm not sure, it sounds like they now have a little bit of flexibility. So if you are interested in doing research in bio and you're looking at this and saying, well, Friday isn't just 2 days, I'm not going to be able to do that, reach out to Biological Sciences and ask whether there is any possibility. You can indicate that you know that the recommended deadline is Friday, December 5th, but is there a possibility of applying after that? You also get research experience. That's obviously one of the great benefits of the program. You learn how to write a research proposal, how to do data analysis, how to write a research paper. All of these are very valuable things, particularly if you're thinking of going on into a research career or into graduate school. But even if you don't think you're going to go into a research-oriented discipline in the future, getting this experience really helps benefit you. And we've talked to a lot of employers who say that they value when undergraduate students have research experience because they know that that means that they're disciplined and they've kind of learned how to do the type of intricate work that research entails. You also will present your research at a poster symposium in the spring. This is a great opportunity as an undergraduate to get to talk about the research that you've done and to hear about other people's research. And finally, you get recognition on the co-curricular record. The co-curricular record is an official transcript from UC San Diego that acknowledges work that you've done outside of the classroom. So your regular academic transcript shows all of the work that you've done in your courses. The co-curricular record allows you to have an official document that certifies that you've done additional other things outside of the classroom that are really beneficial. And this can be useful when you're applying to graduate schools or to jobs or things along those lines. Requirements while you're in the program. We do have a number of seminars and workshops, and you're required to attend those. You're also expected to perform 10 hours of research activities each week. And you're required to enroll in a 99 or 199 independent study course. So the 10 hours of research activities goes hand in hand with that independent study course. The course is not a typical course where there is, it's like a class that meets on Mondays and Wednesdays at 10 o'clock. It's an independent study. So you and your mentor determine what the time period of that is and when you'll meet and how you'll be working on the research activities. So there's some projects where you need to physically be in a lab setting, for example, and you and your mentor will develop a schedule to account for the hours when you'll be there. There's other research projects that are done not necessarily in a specific lab setting, but might be done at the library or might be done independently at home. And so you and your mentor will figure out where you will be to do the research, what the schedule is like, things along those lines. And the 99 or 199 independent study course, again, you get 4 units for winter, 4 for spring, and those are pass, no pass units. You should meet with your faculty mentor at least once per week for at least an hour. A lot of times students end up meeting with their mentor more. And again, the person with whom you meet might be your faculty mentor, but it might also be a designee like a postdoc. And then again, you will be required to present your work at the FMP symposium, which takes place during spring quarter. And you can see some photos here of students who are presenting their work. Finally, at the end of winter quarter, you'll turn in a research proposal that kind of outlines the project that you're working on, and a final paper at the end of spring quarter. So we have a tentative timeline to give you a sense of the type of activities that you would do in the FMP. In winter, there'll be an orientation. There'll also be a library research seminar. I know many of you have probably already used the libraries at UC San Diego, but it's really helpful to have this seminar because the librarians here are fantastic and they can serve as a resource for things that might not occur to you. So this training gives you an opportunity to get to know them a little bit and to become aware of resources available through the library that you might not otherwise be aware of. We also will have seminars on how to write a research proposal. And we have a workshop that's particularly valuable where you and other students in the program will get the opportunity to kind of review each other's work and offer suggestions on it. And then the final research proposal, the final draft is due on March 21st. And then in the spring, there's a graduate student panel, which provides you the opportunity to talk with graduate students who have kind of been where you are now, and you can hear about their path and how they chose to go to graduate school, or how they chose which graduate school to apply to, or why they think graduate school is valuable. So not everyone in the FMP plans to go to graduate school, but it can be helpful to hear from students who are there to see what it's like and what you think about it. There's also a workshop on how to create your poster and how to present at the symposium. This is helpful because it can be a little overwhelming and intimidating if you haven't presented before. And so this gives you a sense of how you go about getting ready for that. And then there is the symposium, as I mentioned, that typically takes place in May. And there's a final paper that's due on June 12th. Now, for both the research proposal and the final paper, sometimes the mentor may request that those items are submitted earlier because typically those are part of what the mentor is using to evaluate your pass, no pass grade for the 99 or 199 course. So those are the deadlines from the FMP perspective, but if your mentor has an earlier deadline, that's what you would adhere to. So in terms of the application process, if you go to fmp.ucsd.edu, you'll see that there's a section that says application process. And when you click on that, you'll come to a place here where you'll sign in with your UCSD single sign-on credentials. If you look at the computer screen here, in the upper right, it says sign in. And a lot of times students miss that and they write and they say, I can see the questions and I can see the application, but I can't figure out how to fill it out. So just make sure that you click on that sign in process up there. Your mentor will need to complete a statement of support. So the mentor does not need to write a letter of recommendation. They don't need to talk extensively about everything that you've done, but they do need to say, yes, I've talked with this student. I will serve as this student's mentor. So again, here's kind of the next stage where when you go to the application, you'll see in the upper right corner that it says sign in. And then down here, one of the opportunities listed is the Faculty Mentor Program, FMP student application. When you apply to any of the programs in the Undergraduate Research Hub, there's this application portal that's called Academic Works, and it has several different components to it. So there's an undergraduate, there's a general application and then an undergraduate application. And both of those ask fairly basic demographic details. Some of that we're able to import from the UCSD database. And then for each specific program that you apply to, like the Faculty Mentor Program, there'll be an additional application that shows you specific questions for that program. So again, you'll need to do the undergraduate and general application and then the Faculty Mentor Program. When you're on this page, you'll also see other opportunities that are available and you can apply to those as well if you like. You are able to go back and update both the general and undergraduate application and the Faculty Mentor application up until the deadline. So for example, you don't have your fall quarter grades yet. And particularly if you're an incoming student, you might not have a UC San Diego transcript. So you can go back later and fill those portions out. There's also a portion at the end of the FMP application that asks if there's any questions that needed further clarification. So if you have any questions, or if there's anything that you feel like wasn't adequately captured, you can indicate that there. You can also reach out to me and ask for guidance about any of those sorts of things. For the mentor statement of support, essentially they will be sent something that indicates, oh, John has indicated that you will serve as a mentor for the faculty mentor program. Here's the statement of support. So the mentor essentially just goes through a checklist saying, I understand that the student is going to write a research paper and a proposal, and I'll give feedback and that sort of thing. So it's very straightforward from their perspective. It is something where once you enter the mentor's name and contact information, they will automatically get something indicating that you have said they'll be your mentor. So don't enter that until you've had a conversation with them and you know for certain that they have agreed to be your mentor. You don't want a faculty member to get an email saying, oh, Susan said that you're going to be her mentor, if you haven't had that conversation with them. Okay, so on this enrollment in the special studies courses, this information is linked to from the Faculty Mentor website. And essentially it gives you an idea of how to request enrollment in the special studies classes. So it kind of covers some of the information that we've already talked about, and what the eligibility is. First of all, you'll kind of need to make sure that you have the right number of units. You'll also want to talk with the advisor in your department and the faculty instructor. Obviously, the faculty instructor is key because you really need to make sure that that person is aware that you plan to do this course and has said, yes, I'll do it with you. When you go to complete the application, you'll be doing either 99 or 199, and you'll complete the application through the EASY system. So you'll meet with your instructor first. There's appropriate sections of the application. You can look in the EASY section, in the EASY system, to see what those questions are. You'll want to include a description of your project and information about whether there's any prerequisite knowledge or things along those lines. It's not as complicated as this makes it sound, but it is something where you'll want to allow some time to do it. So again, when you go to enroll for 99 or 199, you're going to do that through the EASY system. Completing the FMP application does not get you enrolled in 99 or 199. You need to do both separately. And then you can, once you've completed the application through the EASY system and you know that your mentor has completed his or her part, you can check on your schedule on WebReg to make sure that you were enrolled. So a couple of reminders: the application deadline for the Faculty Mentor Program is January 16th of 2026. I encourage you to apply earlier. Just get it done. It's not a terribly difficult application, and the sooner you get it done, the easier. Applying for the 99 199 independent study is separate from the FMP application, and for many of the departments, the deadline for that is January 16th, but not for all departments, so you'll kind of want to keep an eye on that. We do have a couple of frequently asked questions, and on the FMP website, we have a whole section of frequently asked questions, but these are just a couple of highlights. So one that we get a lot is, do I have to be part of the FMP in order to enroll in a 199 independent studies class? No, you can enroll in 199 or 99 without participating in the FMP. You can do research without enrolling in 99 or 199. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get involved in research, and you don't have to be an FMP to do research. There are advantages to being in a formal program like the FMP in that there's these additional workshops and things along those lines that provide you with useful training. So being in a formal program like the FMP certainly has a lot of benefits, but it's not the only way to get involved with research. The FMP does not provide stipends, but one of the good pieces of news that goes along with that is because we don't provide stipends, we are able to accept lots of students. So if you go through the application process and you complete the application and make sure that you address all of the questions thoroughly and you have a mentor in place and you enroll in 99 or 199, you will be in the program. It's not a selective process where only a small percentage of students are able to do it. As I mentioned on the website, there are quite a few other frequently asked questions, so I encourage you to go there. You can also email me. My email address is kung@ucsd.edu. And again, my name is Dr. Kirsten Kung. The FMP website has a lot of information there, so I encourage you to look there to make sure that you any of the questions that you have, kind of check that out first, because that may help you with some of the questions. And also go to the Undergraduate Research Hub website, which is just URH for Undergraduate Research Hub.ucsd.edu. And particularly the student section of that website is helpful because that gives you information about how to find a mentor and how to get involved in research and that sort of thing. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. And I'd like to go ahead and open it up for questions. You can either put questions in the chat, or if you want to unmute and raise your hands, you can.
What's the best way in finding graduate TAs that we can contact?
Okay, so the question was, how can you go about finding a graduate TA to perhaps help you find a mentor of record? So again, a graduate TA would not be able to serve as your mentor for the faculty mentor program, but they may have good suggestions of faculty members who could serve as your mentor. Or let's say there's a graduate TA, they may be doing research that you're interested in, and they could serve as the person who trains you and does your mentorship. But then the faculty member with whom they're working would be the official mentor of record. So if you're taking a class that has graduate TAs, that would be a great way to reach out to them. You can go to their office hours. You can send them an email and say, I'm currently in this class. I'm interested in doing research. How could I go about finding faculty members who might be a good fit for me? Yeah, if you have the opportunity to meet with them and just kind of discuss it, that can be great. Office hours, both for TAs and for faculty members, can be a great way to have these sorts of discussions. Now, if you're in a class and finals are coming up and you go to the office hours and the office hours are packed, those office hours really should be prioritizing the students who are in the class who might have questions about the final or final projects or things along those lines. But often office hours aren't that well attended, and so you can go and ask questions that are not necessarily relevant to the class. Does that kind of get at what you were hoping for, Daniel?
Yeah, thank you.
And then Jacob, I think I saw your hand next.
Deal, but I'm a nano engineering major, and it seems like when I was reading about the 199 for nano, it seemed very similar to the FMP. What's the real difference from just doing a 199 independent study and then a FMP program?
Okay, so basically, if you're in nano engineering and you do FMP, the 199 that you would do would be through nano engineering. So there wouldn't really be a difference. Like the 199 experience that you would have would be the same whether it's through FMP or not. You would be working with a faculty member, you would be doing research, you'd be getting academic credit for it. So the 199 that's kind of associated with the FMP isn't an FMP thing per se. It's more that students in the FMP do 199 through their department. The added benefit, so to speak, of doing the FMP is that we have a number of workshops that offer training in some of the areas related to being a researcher that aren't necessarily specific to the topic that you're in. So FMP would not try to train you in terms of nano engineering techniques or things along those lines. We're not offering research experience in nano engineering. That would come from the faculty member that you're working with in nano engineering. But what FMP does do is offer workshops on things like how to write a research proposal, or how to decide whether you might want to go to graduate school, or how to go about putting together a resume or a CV. And a lot of times mentors will help with those sorts of things, but really the mentor's primary focus is training you in the research itself. And then a program like the FMP kind of helps with the ancillary things that are important to being a researcher, but are not the actual research. So again, the 199 or 99 that students do, if they're in the FMP or not in the FMP, is the same thing. So if you're doing Nano 199, you would sign up for it the same way, whether you're in FMP or not. The whole experience of the 199 is the same. Does that address your question?
Yeah, so just for clarification, the only real difference between just doing a basic 199 and the FMP program is that you're getting some like workshops to learn about how to write like better writing,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah, you're getting workshops, you're getting the opportunity to present at the spring symposium. It's more structured. There's also kind of a sense of community because you're meeting with the other students in the FMP program. You get the co-curricular record acknowledgement. So there's added benefits to it. But in terms of your interactions with the faculty member, it's pretty similar. If you're not in the FMP, the faculty member may or may not expect you to write a paper, whereas for the FMP you do. And so there's kind of that added benefit of having that experience. Typically for 199, you're not expected to do a presentation, whereas for FMP, you get the opportunity to present your work, which then is great on your CV or resume. So it's those sorts of benefits.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Lydia, I think you were next.
Yes, hi. I just had a question. So this quarter, actually, I'm already like working with a professor in developmental economics, and I'm working as like a research assistant. And I was wondering, like, is it possible for me to just like reach out to my existing professor and see if there's any like project I can get on and just directly enroll in the FMP?
Absolutely, absolutely. The one caveat is if you're being paid for research that you're doing, you can't do the same research project and get paid for it and be in the FMP, because that's kind of considered getting compensated in a way twice for the same project. So you would be getting 199 credit for the project and you would be getting paid. And so it's kind of double dipping. But if you are not getting paid, or if you would be able to continue with the project and not be paid, that would be perfectly appropriate to continue working with somebody that you're already working on. If you're already working on a project that would make sense for the FMP, you can continue on that project. It doesn't need to be a brand new project. We do want it to be something where you have a little bit of ownership of it. So if the work that you're doing with a faculty member right now is something where like you're doing a lot of data entry, but you're not doing anything beyond that, or you're working in a biology lab and you're washing plates, but not doing things beyond that, we would want the experience that you have in the FMP to be a little more involved than that, a little more something where you're really getting the opportunity to take some ownership of the project. But if you're already in a situation and you have a mentor, that's great. You can certainly stay with that same mentor, assuming that they have a position that allows them to be a mentor of record.
I see. Yeah. So for my current one, I am getting paid, and then I am like doing a lot of like the data entry tasks. So if I were to do with like the FMP, I'll have to like tell my mentor like is there like a separate project that I can jump on?
Yeah, I think that would be great. And you could say, I've really enjoyed doing the research that I'm doing, and I found out about this program called the Faculty Mentor Program. And this would give me the opportunity to do more research and kind of get a more of a sense of the big picture, it would need to be work that's separate from the work that I'm getting paid for. So however many hours, let's say you're working 8 hours a week now and getting paid for it, you would be expected to do 10 hours per week separate from that. If you're continuing to get paid separate from that 8 hours, you'd need to be doing 10 hours per week on something different. It'd need to be kind of a different enough that it's easy to see like, oh, this is the work she's getting paid for. This is the FMP project.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm actually still deciding because I'm like a business economics major, but I'm also pretty interested in like human developmental science. So I'm
Mhm.
deciding whether I should like base my FMP on like the current work I'm doing or if I should go beyond that. My question is, since it's already week 10 and finals are coming and there's gonna be winter break, if I do reach out to other professors, are they gonna be able to like get back to me in time? Because I know the application's pretty
Yeah,
soon.
that's a great question. And some faculty are great and they're like, oh, yep, I can get back to you right away. And others, regardless of what time of the quarter it is, it can be a little bit of a challenge. So I would encourage you to start reaching out to people quickly. Um, and I think it's certainly doable that you could still find a mentor, particularly if you have some flexibility. Sometimes students have a very specific project in mind, and it's like, this is the only thing I want to do research on. And then it can be a little bit of a challenge to find a faculty member. But if you feel like, oh, I have this general interest in, you said development, human development,
Yeah.
yeah, so if you feel like I have a general interest in human development and this is kind of what I'd like to do research on, and you're open to different aspects of that, then that makes it a little bit easier to find somebody whose research might be of interest to you. So typically when students are reaching out to potential mentors, I recommend that they try to find somebody whose research really fits well with what they want to do. And then if that doesn't, if if they have a hard time finding somebody whose research is a perfect fit, then you kind of expand that circle and you look to people whose research might be not as good a fit, but still is kind of relevant. And you kind of, it's a concentric circle thing and you keep expanding. And just know that even if you end up doing research with somebody whose interests really aren't a great fit for your own interests, getting experience doing research is beneficial and those skills are transferable and you'll be able to benefit from that experience even if you later decide, this really isn't the best match for me.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. I had one more question, and for that, I know for like the FMP, like we'll be writing a research paper and we'll be like presenting it. So I'm
Mhm.
curious, like once we submit the research paper, like what's gonna happen to like the paper? Like, are we able to like kind of upload it separately to any like journals, or is it just like a preliminary thing?
So that's kind of up to you and your mentor. When you submit the research paper, it goes to your mentor certainly, and it comes to the undergraduate research hub. Sometimes people are working on projects where it's proprietary knowledge or they don't want the knowledge disseminated, and we don't publish the work. But certainly if you or your mentor have a concern about like, we really don't want this to be widely seen, you just let us know and we don't publish it. But then a lot of times students do take the work that they've done and they work with their mentor to publish it somewhere. And there are a number of great undergraduate journals that are available. On our website, we have some information about how to go about publishing. And then there's also journals within each field. So you and your mentor could decide like, oh, this is a great project and this paper worked out really well, and let's see if we can get it published. Or sometimes students continue working with the same mentor after the program and continue developing the project and eventually it gets published somewhere. So certainly submitting the paper or doing the presentation for the FMP does not mean that you can't also submit it or do it someplace else.
I see. Okay, thank you so much.
Sure. Any other questions? If
I
you,
have oh
yeah,
sorry.
no, go ahead.
I have a question regarding like applying for a research position with biology. I know you mentioned that the deadline is very soon. So would I just email them asking if that's like the for sure deadline that no after that like I can't apply?
Yes, I would email the biological sciences advising office and just ask. First of all, I would go to the bio website, and if you just Google like BISP 199, it'll have a lot of information there. So you want to kind of look through that first so that you have a good sense of any other questions that you might have. Look through that information and then message them and just indicate, I'm very interested in doing BISP 199. I see that the recommended deadline is December 5th. Is there a possibility of submitting after that? And then they can let you know. Again, the wording of it now makes it sound like it might be possible, but I don't work in biological sciences, so I don't know for sure. And I certainly don't want to say, oh, yeah, that's no problem, because I just don't know. So reach out to them. If it's something where they say, nope, you're going to miss the deadline, you can't get 199, you could still do research even without getting 199 or 99 credit, and you could still be in the FMP program without getting 99 or 199 credit. So ideally, all of the participants in FMP do get 99 or 199, but there have been times in the past where a student isn't able to for a variety of reasons. And then you would just contact me and say, I'm planning to do research. Here's my mentor. Unfortunately, I can't sign up for BISP 199. And then we can work with that. So absolutely try to get the BISP 199 because it's beneficial for you. But if it doesn't work, that does not mean that you can't do FMP. Also, there are, depending on the nature of the research you're doing, sometimes students can get 199 through another department. So for example, a lot of bio students get neurosciences 199 or School of Medicine 199. And that doesn't have the same advantages. Getting BISP 199 for a bio major is better because it does fulfill some major requirements, as opposed to, say, School of Medicine 199. But because some of these other departments have later deadlines, depending on where your faculty member has an appointment, it's still possible potentially to get 199, even if it's not through bio.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right. Well, I am going to go ahead and stop the recording.